Raw and Nerdy.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Raw and Nerdy. This is episode number 42. I am Joe the Wigit, and I am joined by my fellow co-host, the Star Trek wannabe captain, Mr. Rook.
What's up, everybody? Yes, I am Captain Rook at this point in time. But yeah, got a pretty good episode, so let's get to it.
And we are joined as always by the man who's wearing a disgraceful jersey, Archon.
It's Calvin Johnson, man. That's not disgraceful. And if he's a captain, that makes me the admiral. I'm just saying.
We do have a lot of random stuff in the show today. Mostly we're going to be talking about like the whole outage that happened. That's one thing we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Bethesda unionizing. We've got a couple things here and there, especially some really cool space stuff. So stay tuned for that. But first, let's get into our usual shenanigans, talking about our week and going off on about 15 tangents.
Yeah.
And then deciding if we have any time for news.
Yeah, that's how it normally goes. But no, so I'll start off because we mentioned the Star Trek thing. I got back into Star Trek Online, like I mentioned last week, and I decided to delete my Discovery character I had and create a new one with Wigit, Archon, Kilo as my, in order, first officer, engineering officer, science officer and engineering officer. So
I'm science officer?
Yes, I'm a science officer. I can make you a doctor if you prefer.
To be fair, math and science were my favorite subjects in school and in the subjects I did best in. So,
it works then. You're
We'll
you're the department head for science.
So does that make me like Spock?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
And you are
sweet.
Klingon.
Vulcan.
Klingon?
Vulcan,
Oh,
sorry. Vulcan, yeah.
Okay, good. I don't want to be a Klingon. I don't want no wrinkly forehead.
I made us all humans or some variation of or something closely resembling. So not Klingons. Kilo's a Trill. You're Vulcan, and then me and Widget are human.
You don't even know me. You don't even know me, Rook. You should have made me a Ferengi.
I don't remember if I had that. I could have made you a female Borg.
I'll take Vulcan. I'll mind meld people.
I am convinced.
I'll do mind melds.
I'm working on making, if I don't want to use other people from our Discord without their authorization because this is online. So if anybody else wants to be on my bridge crew, I still have like 8 more spots. But yeah, I just thought it would be cool to have a crew of Raw podcasts and make them cool people. Then also we rolled into playing MLB The Show 24. Got Widget into playing the Road to the Show mode.
I finally got it to work.
Yeah, he'll explain that one on his time. No, but seriously, what do you think of Road to the Show mode?
So far, I think it's fantastic. It's very interesting perspective being able to play from as just one character and doing just what that character does. So if you're put into the game, you just play. If you're not a solo pitcher, you do your batting, you do your fielding, depending on your position, and you stay with your character. If you get on base, you run the bases as that character.
Mm-hmm.
And you build your stats, you build your career. Like I'm currently a AA player. I got signed by the Dodgers, 12th round, I think. So pretty low because I did terrible in the beginning.
So I've played Madden 24 Superstar mode. Actually, I have played it recently. I have to say Road to the Show mode is one of the best career modes I've played. And what I think would make it better is if you could connect online and play in the same seasons as your friends in the Road to the Show mode, so y'all actually play each other's games. I think that would be cool.
That would be fun. Kind of like the whole Madden MMO thing I was talking about.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except MLB MMO.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I see. I'm not sure how hard it would be to get the development to work like for that, but there's a lot of things I see that could be fun. Now, Madden, yes, you can do the same stuff on Superstar mode, but you don't have the same skill progression. I mean, you start off in the 40s with most of your stats, and you actually, how you play in-game influences if they go up or if they go down. Imagine if Madden did that.
Yeah. That's one thing I like about it a lot is how you play to really determine your character and how well you do, or poorly.
Mm-hmm.
In my case, my fielding. I'll get into my character later, but it's interesting.
Yeah, so
You're playing a second baseman, right?
Yeah, I switched from playing a left fielder to a second baseman because I like infield a little bit better than outfield. And,
More action.
more action and more challenging because Road to the Show mode has a target that you can move the cursor to try hitting really fast, or you have the quick key buttons. And I'm so used to PlayStation, sometimes I miss the button order I'm supposed to hit because I'm trying to play PlayStation.
Yeah, me too. I have not learned the Xbox buttons yet. They're backwards,
Is,
and they
is
confuse me.
Is this on like the Xbox app?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, I've never, well, I won't say never. I have never played a current, like last 20 years baseball game ever.
It
I
is
think
very,
the only baseball games I've ever played were on the original Nintendo.
so you can't just keep swinging and hoping you hit the ball like on the regular Nintendo.
Well, yeah,
And
obvious.
it's not a top down view. It's a behind you, roughly around the catcher's eye level view.
Oh wait, I lied. I take that back. I did play the baseball in Wii Sports. That
Okay. Yeah,
that
yeah, of course.
that's as close as we get.
Who hasn't? No, but otherwise I've been trying to sell my house and so far no luck. So I'm running out of time.
How long has it been on the market? Like a week? I mean, you
Yeah.
got time.
Yeah.
You don't really have a lot of time, but as far as like housing goes, you got time. It's only a week. So
Yeah. Well, the problem is I have to be in escrow or under contract, depending upon what state you're in, by the end of this month. Otherwise, I lose the house in Texas.
well,
Unless
I
I can
wish
get the house in Texas not to be contingent on the selling of this house.
I wish you the best of luck, man. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Whatever happens,
Roll
happens.
with it.
I mean, that's
Yep,
just
that's my
that.
point at this point.
My motto in life is everything in life happens for a reason. So you're either meant to get it or you're meant to not get it. So
I was going into this knowing that it's probably going to be between 45 and 60 days before I sell.
Well,
well,
you got time.
yep.
I mean,
My
you did run
week,
into some bumps and bruises, but you'll get there.
yeah. At least you didn't have a hot water heater spring a leak and cause your whole house to mold, and then it take a whole year for you to fix it, like I did with my house.
Ouch.
Yeah,
That's rough.
yeah. It took us like 6 months to get the insurance check, and then another 6 months to mitigate all the mold and fix everything and get it ready to sell. And yeah, for 2 years I was making two house payments. It was not good, but yeah, you'll get it, man. I got faith.
Thanks. So, how was your week?
My week consisted of a lot of work in the beginning of the week, and then I got hurt. I slipped and fell into my truck and hurt my shoulder pretty bad. I took a couple days off of work and was just kind of nursing it, try to get it to feel better. Tried working again yesterday because Saturdays are generally our slow days where we don't really do a whole lot. And it was actually a really slow day, but I had this one package that was about 80 pounds that I had to bring up like a 75-foot sidewalk. And by the time I got into that door, I could hardly move my shoulder anymore. It hurt so bad. So I talked to my boss, and he's like, yeah, you should probably go in and get it checked out. So he sent me into a local ER where I sat there for 2.5 hours and the line hardly moved. So I just left. And I'm going to go back again tomorrow, Monday, and see like an occupational therapist to see if what I did to my shoulder, and hopefully it's not anything too awful crazy, but
Hopefully, it's just like a bruised bone or something.
I did utilize my time well while I was sitting in the ER. Um, since I was bored out of my mind, I watched the new season of Cobra Kai, which
I didn't know
is
that came out. I forgot all about that.
amazing.
Okay, now I gotta watch that.
Yep, that's what I was saying earlier. Let's see if Widget remembered.
I
Nope,
can.
he didn't.
Nope.
He didn't remember. Yep, the new season. It's only 5 episodes, and each episode is only a little over a half hour long, so it's only like 2.5 hours. And now we got to wait 2 more months for the next part of the season to come out. But it was good. It was very good. I really enjoyed it. So we'll see what Widget thinks once he watches it.
I'm gonna have to take a break from
Mhm.
Demon Slayer. I haven't really watched much TV at all lately. Like, I was in San Diego all last week, and I didn't really watch anything.
I bet.
No, you watch something, just not TV.
Well, I got on my computer and played a little bit of games here and there, but I was busy.
But yeah, that was. I only had time to watch the first 4 episodes while I was in the hospital, and then I finished the last one today. And this is part of the reason why I don't like doing something till it's done, because now it's like, I gotta wait 2 months.
Yeah.
That's not Cobra Kai is not one that I'm gonna wait, or not gonna wait until it's done before I watch it. I got
Hey, on
it's like
another
one of my
tangent,
favorites.
speaking of Cobra Kai, on another tangent, the new season 2 of Fallout's ahead of schedule according to Amazon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I saw that. And they've confirmed they're following the same three characters they did in season 1, continuing their stories. Which if they didn't do that, that would be really, really dumb.
And the Halo TV series got canceled.
Good. I heard it wasn't very good to begin with.
I actually enjoyed it.
I didn't like it.
I didn't really know the Halo story that much, so for what it was, as an outsider of it, I enjoyed it.
I think
maybe I'd enjoy it too, because I've never played any of the games. So.
I think that's what hurt it, is a lot of the fan base didn't really like it too much, just because it was not the story we expected.
So,
yeah,
what company made the Fallout series?
Amazon.
I know Amazon was a publisher.
Bethesda was buying it too, weren't they?
They were assisting with it. So that's the thing. If I think that's the only show where they actually brought the game director in to severely consult on the show, and look at how successful that was. Probably the most successful video game adaptation show I've seen.
It's kind of like, it's one of those situations like with the Wheel of Time. Everybody's like, oh, I can't stand the Wheel of Time show because it's not exactly word for word like the book. Well,
It's never going to happen.
If you want it to be word for word like the book, go read the book. That's not what the show is. The show is just an adaptation. An adaptation means things are going to change a little bit to be able to fit and make it work on screen.
It is impossible to get that same level of storytelling from a book onto screen without making each episode 6 hours and making it 50 episodes.
Right.
The only ones that...
And even then, it wouldn't translate very well on screen.
So there's 2 series that actually I think did it the best they could. Lord of the Rings and Dune.
Oh, the Dune movies were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they did. Out of all the movies I've seen, they followed the books.
Yeah, Dune actually changed a lot of the book in very, really big key ways, but despite that, they still made it work.
Say what you will, I'm going to add another one. The Harry Potter books are very close to the movies.
I've never read those books, so
I'm on the opposite. This is what's going to get me some hate mail, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't like the Harry Potter books. I've said this before, because the author wrote him as a teenage female. His personality, his time of the month, everything. It messed up the book for me a little bit. But the story, like the world building that she did with it, the premise behind it was brilliant. Now, the poor kid had to have some major disaster every year of his school career, which was a little bit of a letdown. But to me, the movies actually fixed the problems I had with the books. I really like the movies way more than the books.
See, and if you are a fan of the books and have read the books, there's only a few things that are different, and it's only filler things. Other than that, like, they follow the books.
That's one of the rare ones where I will say that the movies outdid the books.
Now, my take on all of this is, yeah, it's cool seeing a movie about a book, but like you said, I like the book better. It gives more detail. What I wish they would do with the movies is actually create a new story within the universe of the novels.
See, what they're doing lately, though, I think is a better approach. Like taking a book and turning it into a series as opposed to a movie, because a series you have more time and you can like actually you can actually add a little bit more of the book to it.
Mm-hmm.
But especially with me listening to all these audiobooks and stuff, I know you can't take a 38-hour book and turn it into a 2-hour movie. You can't do it and not make it good.
I thought a lot about it. If my books, because when my books first released, my publisher sent my book off to a bunch of critics, professional book critics, just to get their word on things before it released. One of them actually came back in the subnote, said that he felt that my book would make a perfect TV show or movie, the way it was written. And since then I've always thought about it. If I ever got that lucky to where my books actually made it onto the big screen, my first choice would definitely be a series, especially with the popularity of streaming services right now.
Yep.
It could be done right that way. If they did force it into a movie, it would have to be at least 2 movies per book, and I would want 2 movies per year, every 6 months to wrap out the one book.
Honestly, I could see yours being a really cool, like, animated series.
I'd be okay with that too.
That would be cool.
Animated series, in my opinion, can probably tell a story from a novel better than live action.
I would even be okay if they did it anime style. As long as my book came on the big screen and I got some kickback for it for my royalties, I'm okay.
I could see, like, having read the first one, I could see that being a really cool animated, like a little animated series. Do, like, 8 to 12 episodes. I think it would be pretty cool.
And I figured if they did do it as a movie, I know the exact spot where they could stop the first movie and continue on with the second one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you're pretty thinking the same thing, but
yep.
A very key part of the book happens right in the middle.
Yep.
So
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't like that part.
No one does. My son was bawling his eyes out during that part, and I felt so terrible. I had a trucker write in saying that he was crying in the middle of a truck stop and was mad at me about that. I got yelled at from my sister who was crying in a dentist office because of that. I take that as a win. If I can pull out that kind of emotion from a reader, I did something right.
Yep.
This is a good tangent, though. Is there anything else that you guys can think of that was a hit or miss on that?
On what?
The whole idea
like
of
adaptations?
yeah.
So Lord of the
Book
Rings
or games, really.
Lord of the
Game of
Rings.
Thrones?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Game of Thrones was a good adaptation up until season 5 and after season 6.
Up until they started making up their own story because they had no more source material to go from. That's when it started going downhill.
Yeah, everyone I think
Big
that.
time.
And then season 8 just killed it.
There were parts of season 8 that I enjoyed, but the large majority of it, I was just like, meh.
Why?
They rushed it, and I hate it when they get the axe and have to rush to finish the story.
Mm-hmm.
I always believe writers should have at least the final 2 episodes written or at least outlined on how they would like it to end. That way they can work towards it if they get the axe and that's the final season.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones is probably one of the most successful book to TV show adaptations.
No, because it did really well.
Yeah.
On following the book. Had George R. R. Martin sitting right there helping them. But when they got to season 6, book 6 ain't out yet.
Also because it was extremely graphic and vulgar, which drew a huge audience.
Yeah, to me it was just a masochistic porno.
Kind of. Yeah.
Oh, you like that character? Just wait. Couple episodes is dead.
Why do you think Spartacus did so well?
Oh, you don't like that character? Don't just wait. A couple episodes, he's dead too. In a horrible way.
There's some where some characters in those novels where it's like, is he gonna die yet? Is he gonna die yet? Great, he's going into the next book.
One thing I can tell you about Game of Thrones is that I have never watched another TV show before where I have ever hated a character as much as I hated a couple characters on that show.
Well, that means they wrote them right.
Right. Like the way they portrayed the characters, the way they wrote the characters, the actors who played them nailed it so bad, or so good, I should say, that I actually hated those characters and could not wait for them to die.
One of the actors, I read in a recent article from Lord of the Rings, who played the young prince, the blonde prince that everyone despised, he quit acting.
From Lord of the Rings or
no, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the guy who played Joffrey, because he got hate mail because everybody hated his character so much
that they couldn't separate the actor from the character.
Same with I don't know if he quit acting, but why can't I think of his name?
From episode 1?
No, the one dude who kept the other guy as a pet and like married Sansa and was not nice to her. Yeah, like I hated that guy so bad, and I could not wait. I was just like, will this guy die already? In every single episode, it was I did not like him.
But when an actor portrays a character that well,
Right?
that's amazing.
That's a performance. That's one thing I gotta give him credit for, is that the actors put on a really good performance in that show.
And then you got characters like Sean Bean that as soon as I saw him, I was like, I'm not gonna like this character. I can't like this character because I know he's gonna die, because this guy dies in every movie he ever plays in.
I know, right? Well, luckily they had him play Ned Stark.
And the Oscar goes for death scene.
Yeah, luckily they had him play Ned Stark, who dies. Spoiler alert.
I don't think we can really spoil anything with that show anymore.
Even the books. But yeah, it's...
I read the first 3 books of that series.
I started reading... I finished book 1. I started reading book 2. I read book 1 my last 2 weeks in the Navy. And then I started reading book 2 and had to force myself in a chapter, in one of the chapters. And I was like, I just can't force myself to keep reading this. So I might actually switch over to... what's it called? Audiobooks, and actually finish it that way.
I started watching House of Dragons once, the first 3 episodes, and I got bored with it, so I'd never watched it again.
I keep seeing the ads for it on my science channel.
See, I watched the first episode of it, but it was like when the first episode first came out, and it was one of those you have to wait every week, and I was like, nope, I'm going to wait until the series is done. And then the first season was done, and I just never went to watch it. There's a couple things on my list though. Like I still like I'm pretty sure that the new season is done for The Boys now, so I can go watch that one now. I've been waiting for that to. Okay, so I can go watch that one now. I've been waiting for that one to finish so I can watch it. Trying not to catch any spoilers.
So back to the weeks. 24 minutes into the recording.
Your week.
Yeah. So I did get my Xbox app to work. So I updated it, and I couldn't get any of the games that Rook was showing, and he got all the modern stuff, so I knew it had to be on my end. I went into Windows, I went into the app under settings, and I did I ran a repair and a refresh on the app. Restarted my computer, pulled it up, and voila, the whole thing had changed. It was completely different, and I had MLB The Show 24 there, along with all the other modern games. Mine was stuck 6 months in the past, and it wouldn't update past that.
Why don't you just delete the app and reinstall it?
Imagine if you tried...
It's faster for me just to repair it.
Imagine if it was stuck over a year in the past and you weren't able to get Starfield when it first came out.
Apparently I could buy games just fine. I almost bought MLB The Show until I realized that, nope, it wouldn't work on the PC. It was only for Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully I can play it. So I was really curious after watching Rook play Road to the Show or talking about it a couple times after we played our season. And I wanted to give it a shot. So I made myself, like in our game, I made myself a pitcher. But I made him a 2-way player so I could bat. Because I love the batting in that game. It's so much fun. And I made him a complete power player. So I'm power batter, and I'm a velocity pitcher. But I also play left field. And I realized that I am...
Shohei?
Huh?
So you're Shohei Ohtani?
No, just better.
Better? Better.
I'm in Double A and have better stats than he does.
Wow.
Well, let's send him down to Double A and see how that goes.
Right?
Right. But still... Just the whole idea of being able to build my character, like I use the whole face thing where it takes a picture of you and puts you in the game, and they completely screwed it up, so I had to change it and fix it. So it looks a bit like me. And my first character I made him 5'10", my height, right? And as soon as I got on the mound, they're like, well, he's a little bit too short for a pitcher. I'm not sure how this is going to work. So when I had to remake my character to make him 2-way, because I wasn't batting, I made him 6 foot.
Dude, every time I make a pitcher in the game, he's 5'9".
But other than that, he's like he's me again. The way I used to pitch, the pitches I like to use, except for my knuckleball is locked out. That was one of my favorite pitches to throw in high school. I was a four-seam fastball pitcher. I did that, and I had a couple of breaking balls that I used and an off-speed. And I was very accurate. I wasn't as fast as like my cousin, who was our starting pitcher, but I was a closing pitcher. But I wanted to play a starting pitcher, so I made him that. And I found out that I'm absolutely terrible in the field because the button sequences can't do it. It's messing me up so bad. X and Y are flipped. A and B shouldn't be that way. I keep on pressing the wrong ones and throwing all kinds of wild shots everywhere. But I'm getting it. My fielding is not quite as bad. Like, it shows you your different areas and how if you're above average, below average, that kind of thing. My fielding is way below average. My pitching's way above average. my batting's way above average. And then, like, the whole thing about it, like, they released the top 100 prospects list. And you get a phone call from your agent, like, hey, you made the list, congratulations. Found out I was ranked 99.
Oh,
So, okay, fine. And you can go
still on
check
the
that
list.
list. Yeah, you can go check that list, and I'm now, like, 87th, but I'm number 3 for the Dodgers draft, or list to bring up. So I'm waiting to go into AAA. And I'm wondering, Rook, is if you did good enough on the Combine, which is like the whole draft trial thing, if they would put you in AAA or even the majors right out the gate.
So, based on what I can tell, because you can, so during the game you unlock things. You unlock perks. You unlock equipment.
Yeah.
Equipment boosts certain stats. Perks give you certain stats, and you also can unlock your actual style.
Mm-hmm.
You at the start of the combine, you can go in and set all of that, so you
Yeah.
can make your stats better. So I would believe you can.
I didn't have any equipment or anything, so I went at it, and my fielding was so bad during the Combine, they're like, nope. And I chose, I want to go to the Dodgers. That's always been my team growing up, and from here listening to Rook, if I wouldn't have chose that and let them decide, I probably would have had a better draft pick than what I did. But my pitching, I did really good. So right now my ERA is .86, so it's really, really good. I have over 60 strikeouts, and I've pitched 7 games. And my batting average is, what was it, 423? And I have 17 home runs. And
You
we're
had
only
4 in one game.
Yeah, I had 4 in one game, and I hit a grand slam in one of them. I was at Rooks when I hit the grand slam. It was awesome. So I'm doing really good. My fielding's terrible, but I got the calls. I got a meeting with the coach and saying that the call for me to go up to AAA could happen soon. I'm all excited about it.
Wigit disappointed me though.
What?
Uh-oh.
What'd I do?
He had a 5-for-5 game, but only had 4 home runs. Yeah, I set my difficulty to dynamic, and halfway through, let's see, with my left fielder, halfway through the season, I started struggling with batting. I was like, oh great, this is gonna be fun. So I went to the second baseman. My batting was struggling bad. I was reading pitches horribly.
Yeah,
But
I know nothing about
it's fun.
baseball games.
So after we get done recording and editing, I might play a few games before I go to bed.
I'm going to.
Well, the only games that take a little bit longer for me to do is when I'm pitching. And usually they pull me out around 7th inning, unless I do really well and they pull me out in the 8th. Other than that, I just bat. I'm always the designated hitter, so I'm batting every game almost. And when the games I just bat, I probably bat 4 or 5 times, and the game's over. Other than running the bases.
Yeah, my base running takes a little bit longer because I have it set up to where I'm on the base for every single pitch of every batter. That's after me.
I don't know what that means.
All right, so Road to the Show, you have a setting where you can go in and it will give you like half of the at-bat to try stealing a base.
Okay.
I have it set to where mine's the entire at-bat for the batters that come up behind me in the lineup when I get on base. I'm the leadoff batter for my team. I'm the number 1 batter. So when I get on base, I prefer not trying to rush to steal and actually see what the pitcher's motions and stuff are to try stealing. And so I go with every single pitch instead of the quick count.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's what I've been doing. And like I said, I had an incredible week in San Diego. Very, very busy. I worked a 14-hour day once. But it wasn't because of the outage. Thankfully, we don't use CrowdStrike for any of our stuff. So we didn't get affected by it, thankfully. Otherwise, that would have been a very, very long day. And I would have probably had to work 24 hours.
Oof.
Yeah. I've been going to San Diego a lot, and
I say that, but I've worked a 23-hour day before. So maybe I could do it.
it's possible.
Yeah, my company's actually been hit by it. I'm getting tired of all the notifications from the company.
Speaking of this whole CrowdStrike thing, just if you guys were wondering what it was and what happened, it happened Friday morning early. About 3 a.m., CrowdStrike released an update in Windows, and Windows found a fault. And when Windows finds a bad driver like that, it will do what's called a BSOD, or blue screen of death. It will fail to load. And that's what happened to 8.5 million Windows devices Friday morning. They released a faulty update that blue screened many computers, which affected not only hospitals, it affected airlines, it affected so many different systems. And CrowdStrike is cybersecurity software that is employed by Microsoft. They use it mostly for Microsoft 365, which is, if you don't know what that is, that's like the main IT system for Microsoft products. I use Microsoft 365 every single day for my job, handling accounts. So it caused some serious issues. They canceled 20,000 flights. They were either canceled or delayed worldwide Friday morning, and they're still recovering from that. There were many hospitals in the U.S. and U.K. that pretty much shut down everything except emergency procedures, including like some medical offices. I have a friend who works in a medical office, and they had serious issues that day, and they outsource their IT. But they re-released the proper update that morning, a few hours after they found the issue, so all the 8.5 million systems are back up and running, and it's fine. But it did create like an eye-opener for how much we depend on the internet for everything that we do. Like, me and the guys couldn't record right now without it.
It's crazy. We are so... I remember back when I was in high school and early in my Navy career, the internet was new. It wasn't, oh my God, we're going to use this for everything. It was more, here's access to research and stuff like that, because it took forever to get onto any website that you needed. Now we are so intertwined with the internet. Well, majority of people are so intertwined with the internet that if it goes down permanently, our world's not going to function right.
Did you guys ever watch the show Revolution?
No.
When it came out, it was about like a post-apocalyptic world where instead of like a nuclear attack, it was like a global EMP that literally shut down power and technology everywhere on Earth. And it was like the people living afterwards, and they're riding horses and like all kinds of like it was. I'm not gonna say it was a good show, but I kind of wish they hadn't canceled it because I was kind of into it. It was pretty decent. It had like the main actor in it was, God, what's his name? Billy Burke, I think. The guy that's like the dad. He plays like the dad in Twilight, and like he was in that show Zoo. That show was phenomenal. But yeah, he's like one of the main characters in that show too. But anyway, like he was one of the main characters of the show, and it had Giancarlo Esposito in it too. He played like one of the bad guys in that show, and it was so good.
I am so terrible with actor names, not even funny.
You gotta know who Giancarlo Esposito is. He was in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul.
Both shows I never watched.
What?
I watched a few episodes, didn't like it, and didn't watch them again.
I am flabbergasted. You didn't watch Breaking Bad?
I watched like 4 episodes and said, nope.
Oh, man.
I've seen episodes here and there. I just can't get into Breaking Bad. I have a hard time
Better Call
getting
Saul
into
just depressed me. I didn't like that one at all.
Oh, Breaking Bad is like one of the highest rated shows on all of television.
And it's not for everybody.
The first season, I'll give you like... I will give you that. The first season, I didn't really start getting into it until the end of the first season, and the beginning of the second season is when it really, really like hooked me. But oh man, that show was amazing. But anyway, like he's in just about everything. I mean,
I am so bad with actors' names. It's really, really bad. Because I just don't care. Good for them. Let them live their lives, do their job. I'm fine.
If something like that does happen, where there's an worldwide EMP, there is groups out there, your mountain men that don't rely on
survivalists.
Survivalists.
But there's also a group called the Society for Creative Anachronism, the SCA, because they actually are devoted to research and recreation of pre-17th century skills, arts, combat culture, and history. And they do it through events and stuff like that. And it's really cool watching them redo all of this stuff the way it was done way before we had all this modern technology and still make it look right. So there are groups out there that can survive no problem if
There's
we got rid
also a
of
group
all
out
the
there called the Amish, who would be just fine.
stuff.
Depends
They
on
would be just fine.
what sect of Amish you're talking about, because there's the modern ones that wouldn't be so great. Is it like the Pennsylvania Amish or Dutch Amish, something like that, that shun all things like electronics still?
Uh-huh.
They'd be fine.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I just
we'd be
thinking
fine.
about that though, like how crazy the world would be without any of our
This
technology.
whole CrowdStrike thing was overblown, but it does show the fragile nature of it. One bad update.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is the problem with having one or two OSs out there, because you mess up that OS and there's nothing else out there outside of Apple.
Yeah.
There's a very big reason why Microsoft became one of the biggest companies in the world.
Shuts the world down, as we saw for like 12 hours or so. The whole world was shut
Right.
down.
You know who wasn't affected? Linux-based systems.
Well, that's because they use Linux.
Exactly.
And it's a pain in the neck to use, so most people don't.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't find it hard to use it. It wasn't really that hard to use when I was working on Linux systems at one of
Yeah.
my previous jobs.
Because you had a whole outline of what to do. Try
No,
being
actually,
IT for Linux systems. It's not fun.
I started learning how to. I was doing the Red Hat training and learning how to actually do stuff. It was actually pretty simple once you learn how to write command codes.
I'm just saying, as an IT level, it's a nightmare.
You know who else wasn't affected? Me.
Yeah, didn't affect me at all.
Did
Yeah, it
My
didn't
job
affect
was
me at all.
fine. I work in IT, and I had no problem with it.
You did not. Our systems apparently aren't run off of
I
Windows
take
either at
offense they
work.
call it an IT outage. We had nothing to do with it. It was a system outage. Come on, people.
You always blame the IT though,
Yeah, well, that's the way
because
it works.
CEOs don't know how that stuff operates.
Well, people are clueless about what I do for a living. Most people. So the ones that are clueless, they can blame us for anything they want.
Just remember, don't mess with the IT guy.
Thankfully, the company I work for, the union I work for, they're very, very good with their IT. They're very thankful, really good with us. So I don't have any issues with
Speaking
that.
of unions,
And in fact, I always went by the opposite creed. Any job that I've ever gotten that's been in an office of any sort, my very first thing I do is make friends with the IT guy.
Yep, right. It's the smart thing to do. There's a couple people that I'm close to in the union that, hey, they get a front row ticket to anything they need.
two things: you never mess with the IT guy, and you always be cautious when somebody says, "Can I get that in writing, please?"
Yeah, yeah. I can make their job very, very difficult if I wanted to.
All
Or
right,
very easy.
Speaking of unions, did y'all hear that Bethesda unionized?
Yeah, he told me earlier today.
I'm about to learn this from you because I did not know that.
I didn't know that until I was doing something in my bathroom with my phone in my hand reading articles, and it popped up. I was going to the bathroom like everybody does.
That's how I got two of my articles today.
And it popped up as Bethesda unionized. So it's the actual first game studio Microsoft owns to do so. 241 developers indicated or signed a union card confirming they wanted a union. It is the Communication Workers of America, or CWA. That's their union. It is a wall-to-wall union of developers, including the artists, engineers, programmers, and designers, which I think is awesome that that group of people unionized. Let's see. Microsoft has recognized the union, so that's a plus in the union's favor. Bethesda Game Studios Montreal's unionized in late June, but this follows that, and it also follows roughly 300 quality assurance workers unionizing within ZeniMax, the parent company of Bethesda, and now Microsoft's parent company, I guess. To me, it's a smart move. With current events that we've discussed before in the game development sector, this actually helps protect the developers' rights, and it also helps protect the workers when you start hearing about the layoff and everything like that. Now they have to negotiate with the union to protect those workers or give them good compensation if they have to lay them off. So those are some really important things that
I
I think
actually
is
have
useful.
two perspectives on this because, for one, I've been working for a union for the last 3 years, so I know the value of a union, also the headaches of it. But I also worked in the game industry for many years, from being a tester all the way up to a level designer and then a lead designer. And it was, even then, the video game industry was considered to be one of the most volatile careers you can get. Because most designers and most people that were below management or lead were laid off right after a project if they didn't have anywhere else to put them. It happened to me. I went through 5 different studios. The longest I was at one studio was 5 years. And it happened to be one of the ones. Anyway, my point of this is that even back then, I worked for SCEA for a few years back in the PlayStation 2 beginning era. And I remember when we were working on a game called God of War, where we were getting ready to go gold. And gold was, during the development cycle, gold is the last 3 months before release. And back then, there was no updating after the release. So the game had to meet criteria. So going gold was when we submitted the game to the publisher, in this case, Sony, and they would go through the approval process. When that happened, all staff were on deck 24/7 the entire 3 months to make sure that we got the game done 2 weeks prior to gold ending and completely approved. I worked, and I'm not kidding, 7 days a week. I worked anywhere from 18 to 22 hours per day. I slept at the office, I showered at the office, and I ate at the office for 2.5 months.
That's
Okay. So what's the perspective from
that point, a union could help protect. I mean, they've instituted laws that prevent that from happening now.
Yeah.
But still, the laws are pretty lax when it comes to the game industry. It's a very, very challenging space. The deadlines are insane. So this is going to help protect them and keep them to where they can work a normal job without having to go overboard with, hundreds of hours of overtime a month.
Right.
And hopefully be able to get their lunch break and their breaks, things like that. It's going to help, like you said, protect them.
And if you're not overworking everybody and you actually give them a proper deadline and not one that's rushed like EA likes to do, they can come up with a really good game.
Oh yeah.
It's just you got these publishers that want the game right now.
A lot of mistakes were made during the gold phase. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember being a zombie too.
I'm looking forward to seeing how this affects Bethesda going forward. I think it's going to be fine, especially since Microsoft has recognized it. So it will be very, very interesting to see it move on.
I think the timing is kind of interesting as we were talking about all these downfalls and negative things, and then all of a sudden Bethesda was like, hey, we should probably unionize. Maybe they've been listening to the show.
Well, we know they listen to one of our shows. I don't know if they listen to this one. Hi, Bethesda.
Hopefully.
So that's a big thing, and I'm interested to see how that goes. I'm wondering if other studios or if this union actually is not just specific to the studio, so it could actually spread out to all the studios eventually.
Yeah, it's just like the International Iron Workers and Aviation. I forgot what the name of the union is for Lockheed Martin, but they're not. These unions are union houses. They're not just for one company. They're actually covering a bunch of different companies.
Yeah, I work for a union that's based off of ASME, and ASME is the global union that is for home care providers. So people who go into people's homes, take care of the elderly, the sick, feed them, take care of them, stuff like that. And they didn't have any rights at all. So seeing the progress, even just the 3 years I've been with the union, has been incredible for them. So it's going to be pretty cool. Did you guys see the Gladiator 2 trailer?
I have not.
I have not, no.
Well, I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't actually sat down and watched the entire trailer.
We've talked about when this was first announced to be released, how in the world could it actually play into Gladiator? Because, the main guy dies at the end. But I did watch the trailer before we recorded today, and it looks extremely good. And they did tie it into the previous movie pretty well. But it takes place like 20 years after that first movie. Well, pretty much the same timeline. That young prince who was kind of psychotic in the first movie, he's the main protagonist in this one as an adult and emperor. So it looks really, really good. And I'm really excited to see how it's going to be. Because Gladiator is in my top 3 favorite movies of all time. top 4. So if they get
Yeah.
anywhere close to that one, I'll be ecstatic.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I did like their first one. I haven't, like I said, I haven't watched the trailer, but I do like the casting they have for it.
Yeah, I do too, actually. Paul Mescal,
Mm-hmm.
Pedro Pascal, Denzel Washington, Connie Nielsen, Joseph Quinn. I know about 3 of those names.
I know Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
And Denzel.
Who doesn't know Denzel?
They featured both of those pretty heavily in the trailer. So I'm assuming they're the key players of the movie.
Now we got to be careful.
Are they
because
bringing
we've seen
Joaquin
this-
Phoenix back?
Joaquin Phoenix was in it?
I said, are they bringing him back? Or no?
No, he was in the first
No,
one.
it wasn't in the first one.
That's what I thought.
What?
Hold on.
What are
let
you
me check
talking
this.
about? Joaquin Phoenix was the main bad guy in the first one.
I'm looking for the cast.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I told you I'm bad with actors' names. I'm not joking.
Well,
I'm
I
like,
forgot
what
what
are you
he.
talking about?
The last Joaquin Phoenix movie I've seen was The Joker.
The only person I know from that one, from the first Gladiator by heart, is Russell Crowe, obviously.
Oh, man.
But his
Everybody
best
knows
friend
him.
that played in that movie, I was really hoping to see him in. No, see, Joaquin Phoenix's character died,
Yeah.
was killed.
That's
so he
that's
wouldn't
why I
be in
thought
that.
about. I was thinking about it, and then I was
But
like, oh
his
yeah,
sister, who Lucia
Uh-huh.
was the character name. She's actually in the second one.
The actual actress
Yes.
is coming back. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
And the same one who played the prince, the same kid, is also in it. Obviously, just grown up. But there's Juba, the guy who played like the best friend or companion to Maximus in the first movie, who
Mhm.
buries his little figure at the end of the movie. I was hoping
Yeah.
to see him in this one, but I didn't see him at all. I don't know if he's
Maybe.
even in the cast, but
I mean, it is 20 years later. He might be like old, and dead by now.
or off with his family, you know. But Ridley Scott is directing this one. He directed the first one.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, and if they can bring back my favorite composer to do this score on this one, it's going to be good.
That's
So-
one sequel. I'm kind of, if it's done well, I'm excited for it. But one I am not is Twisters.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
there's a lot of
I-
controversy on that one.
I don't know why they're bringing that back. Sharknado was a good follow-up to Twister.
Oh
God,
gosh,
really?
Sharknado. Oh my.
No thanks.
I do.
But honestly, my most anticipated sequel of the year, personally, is Beetlejuice. I can't wait.
I've been meaning to watch the trailer for that, and I just haven't.
Oh, it looks so good. There's a couple different trailers for it, but it looks so good.
My
Looks so good.
anticipated trailer is Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah,
I found out that the movie I'm most anticipating for this year is not releasing this year. They're releasing it next year.
What movie?
Aw,
Avatar 3.
aw,
It was supposed to release this December, but they moved it back 1 year.
aw, poor Joe.
I'd
If
rather
they make me
them-
wait another, 12 years for this one, I'm going to be ticked off. I'm going to be 80 by the time they release the 5th movie.
No, you're gonna be 80 before they finish releasing the third.
Hey, now.
They got to figure out what movie they're gonna rip off the story from this time.
Don't even go there. Favorite movies here.
I understand that, but that doesn't change the fact that if you literally change the names of the characters, you have the movie Pocahontas.
No, see that I can argue about that, but I'm not going to today because I don't have time. Curiosity ran over a rock. That's an epic opening title, seeing as it runs over many rocks.
Yeah, Curiosity. Well, the full title is Curiosity ran over a rock and found something never seen before on Mars.
See, this is one of the articles I was reading too when I was using the restroom.
For the last 10 months, NASA's Curiosity has been investigating a region of Mount Sharp that is of high interest to scientists. It has signs of violent watery past, and chemical analysis has revealed that the presence of many minerals, including sulfates. Well, apparently, it ran over a rock, cracked open the rock, and inside it was pure sulfur crystals.
Yep.
Now, you had a comment about this whole thing about finding...
Yeah, it's something that drives me nuts about modern astronomy, whatever. Not astrology. Come on, Joe. Is the fact that they try to explain everything based on what we know about Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So, that has to be in a water flow, but we don't know if that was actually water because it's a different planet. There could be structures and minerals on that planet, most likely, that we have never seen before. And they keep thinking about it, well, it has to be a water flow, and then it had to move the rocks here, or pyroclastic flow did this, and, well, you don't know that.
That's what it would do on Earth.
It's what it would do on Earth, but exactly. It doesn't mean that's what's going to happen on Mars, or did happen on Mars. So they're saying, oh, it was 3 billion years ago. How do you know? You haven't been able to test any of the samples, other than what some of the data you're getting back from the rover, but which is limited.
Yeah, true. The rover, there is another rover on Mars. I think it's Perseverance or something like that. But I do like this quote. Finding a few, this is from, I'm going to butcher this name. It's Curiosity's project scientist, Ashwin Vasavada of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. They said finding a field of stones made of pure sulfur is like finding an oasis in the desert. It shouldn't be there, so now we have to explain it. Discovering strange and unexpected things is what makes planetary exploration so exciting.
Yeah, well, it's my problem with telescopes, too. Like, they're assuming this is happening. They assume a planet has this because the light is reflecting a certain way, so it has to be this. We don't know. It could be a gas that's completely different, or a fluid of some kind that's completely different than what we know, that gives off a similar light signature.
Yeah, it's true. It could be... I've had this argument multiple times. Like you're saying, you can't judge other planets based on Earth. However, you have to compare it to something you know.
Yeah, I know. I understand that logic behind it.
Start
but they pigeonhole themselves into just doing that without thinking outside the box.
Now, if we land on more asteroids and get more samples from asteroids, that could change everything we know.
Oh, that can open up a lot, yeah.
Yeah, we've gotten samples from one asteroid. Let's get more samples from other asteroids and see what we actually start seeing.
The cool thing about asteroids, and what makes it so valuable, what Rook's hitting on here, is that those are from planets from thousands of light years away, most likely, that have traveled all this way, so we can see physical samples of what those planets' core was like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's stuff like that where I really want to see them start getting more involved with the asteroids so we can actually start seeing what these asteroids are made out of. A lot of them they are suggesting might be iron.
Well, yeah, that's what we found on Earth, was asteroids that hit Earth was mostly composed of iron.
Yeah.
There was one that's really highly valued that has a mineral that was not classified on Earth before, and it's on the periodic table that is not the only periodic element that's not from Earth.
Yeah, see, I would love to see more elements found that aren't from Earth, that expand our periodic table, expand what we know about all these different elements, because it's very, like you're saying, you can't judge a planet in another solar system or another solar system based on what we know, because what if there's an element out there that refracts light just like or really similar to what, say, water does?
Well, like they always say, and every time I love space. It's one of my favorite topics in the world. Deep water and space. Just love it. Space just fascinates the heck out of me. But I'm waiting for them to actually start thinking outside of it. Because if you think, you pigeonhole your train of thought onto one area, like, okay, this has to be a water flow because it looks just like something on Earth or looks similar to something on Earth, you're not going to look for the outliers. You'll miss it.
I'm not going to say it's a water flow. I'm going to say it's a liquid flow of some sort.
So that would be more realistic. We don't know if water was on Mars. It could have been something completely different.
Now,
it could have been a liquid gas of some kind. We don't know.
Yeah. On Earth, water is the driving force of all life on Earth. This we pretty much understand. What if on another planet, say Mars, Mercury, Venus, that have signs of Venus and Mercury? I think they have
that planet we talked about last week that has a high chance of life on it.
But I'm talking about Mercury and Venus because they are under the belief that there is microbiological life on those planets.
Possibility, yeah.
They're striving on planets that don't have water. So if that's the case, we really do. I think those two planets are actually starting to open up their thoughts on what can drive life.
Yeah. And like we said before, the highest probability of finding alien life, I'm using air quotes here, is microbiological life. That's the most likely thing, because that's where the building block of all life comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And if a plant's going to have some form of life, it's going to be that. And if you're really lucky, it might have some plant life or moss of some kind, or some kind of lichen.
Now, what if that planet you saw that we discussed last week actually has intelligent life?
See, the odds of intelligent life, that's when it goes into numbers that are too big for me to even describe.
But it's not zero.
What if
But having
somewhere on
plant
some
life
other planet,
and animal life is higher probability.
what if somewhere on some other planet there is intelligent life doing a podcast about how, just like we are right now, about how unlikely it is that there is intelligent life somewhere else?
I think the numbers, that would be hilarious, actually. The numbers of it being advanced, more advanced than us, that able to travel great distances, is even more astronomically huge.
That's based on life as we know it, though.
We say that until
You're
somebody
pigeonholing us, sir.
We say that until somebody warps into our galaxy, into our solar system, and decides that they're going to come say hello, and then we're all shocked. You never know.
We got enough time for one more little thing. I'm not going to get into the article because I don't have time for that. But the one that you put in here in biology kind of plays off of something we talked about in a few episodes back about the brain.
Oh, yeah, about the sleep cycles?
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty cool. I started reading this article about discovering the brain's nightly rinse cycle. So what it does is the brain will actually, when you actually go into REM sleep or deep sleep, your brain gets flushed with spinal fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid and blood flows around your brain. And scientists believe that's the way it helps remove toxins off of your brain. I mean, you have cranial fluid up there. So I thought that was really cool, and it explains why it's useful for why you feel better and more refreshed outside of just physical and mental health reasons, because it's actually, they're starting to think that's how your body gets rid of toxins off your brain. And they did this by watching somebody sleep while running a functional MRI. While they're sleeping, they're being MRI'd. It was actually really cool. And the video this article has actually shows what the MRI was showing.
Did you know, this reminds me of something, in 2018 they discovered a new organ in the human body that was previously unknown?
I didn't even hear about that.
Look it up. It's interesting because it's a fluid-filled space, and they're not sure exactly what it does from what I read before, but it's in the neck, I think. Anyway, look that up because it's actually pretty cool. It's interstitium.
Okay, I'll have to look that up.
So yeah, we're discovering new things about us and everything else all the time, which is awesome.
Yep. But the whole thing about this article was this phenomenon, studying it further may help explain why poor sleep or loss of sleep has previously been associated with the spread of toxic proteins and worsening memory loss in people with Alzheimer's disease. So maybe they just need to knock those guys out, let them sleep for a long time. How odd would it be is if you actually make somebody sleep for, say, 12 hours and they wake up, because a lot of people with Alzheimer's, from what I understand, when they first wake up, they're okay for a bit and then they go back into their memory loss stuff.
Anyway, so if you guys heard me talk about my book earlier, if you're interested in that, it's called Emperor of Continia, which is the first book. You can find it on Amazon. And the second book is called Guardian of Kame. They're part of the Dromon Saga, Dromon. So, check it out. Anything else you guys want to bring up before we go ahead and close up the show tonight?
No, I don't think so.
If you guys want to reach out to us for advertising on the show or any kind of business, podcastraw@gmail.com is the best way to do that. If you want to get a hold of us directly and talk to us, or anyone like-minded in a rather large community that we're growing on our Discord, best way to do it is Discord. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Discord.gg/Raw Podcasts, RAWPODCASTS. Our Facebook is Raw Podcasts. Our X is @Podcast Raw. And our Instagram,
Raw Podcast 1.
You can follow us individually as well. I am at the Wigit, TheWigit, on everything.
You can follow me almost everywhere as some variation of Tomcat213, or on Steam and X, you can follow me as Rook213.
And you can follow me on social media as the Archon606, or on gaming platforms as QuickQWICK_D_606.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and have a fantastic nerdy week.
Y'all stay nerdy now.
Have a great week, guys.